Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, December 17th. Yeah, I think so. Happy birthday to my wife yesterday. Mari, it was her birthday, so I want to say happy birthday to her. That's why we weren't on the air last night, celebrating her birthday. And also, our puppies turn 1 today. So Mari's birthday and the puppies, and plus we're in our house. So this has been quite the week for us. Still really busy, but glad to be here and finally to produce the kind of content we need to produce to keep you guys updated. Tonight we're going to have a couple things to talk about. First, let's get into the space weather part of this. And the solar wind speeds coming in at 370.2 kilometers per second with a density of 5.7. Now, you're looking at my screen and it says Sunspots, and you see SSN 127. Folks, that is the smooth sunspot number. And we were at 0 just a few days ago. Now, we have hit 127. That is significant, especially being as low as we've been lately. And I was over here like, well, we're still in minimum conditions. And then, bam! We have a plethora of activity. I have a theory, and I'll share with you here just in a second. We'll get into that here, but let's go over the numbers of the sunspots. There's quite a bit. AR 2911, 2910, 2905, 2906, 2907, 2908, and 2909. That's right, folks. 2905, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 6 different groupings. Sunspot number 127. Even if you divide that by 2, that still averages, if you divide it 127. Oh, anyway, it's a lot. The sunspots are definitely back. And is this the signal that some folks are waiting for when it comes to the Terminator event? Terminator event is nothing life-threatening to us here on Earth. It just simply marks a cycle when cosmic radiation is at its peak. Scott McIntosh follows it. He's been wrong a few times. I'll give him credit. He has also made correction statements and has gotten to the point now where he can't really predict anymore. So, but this is a very, very sudden amount of sunspot activity very quickly. In fact, I want to give a shout out to one of our private group members on Facebook, Bogus. Your post today got my attention. I was not aware. I was busy during the day today, and I just happened to check some of the messages that were left on the group. And, he put 0 to 100 in no time. And I'm like, whoa, the graph just doesn't look right. So this will be an interesting few days and follow. And we'll find out if we have any more sunspots that are peering around the corner. It does look like the southeastern limb could produce another large type sunspot. Very bizarre. Now, for those of you who are expecting, like me, for the maximum to be somewhere around 2024, 2025, the question is now, if we are indeed accelerating into our maximum, that also means that we will be declining earlier than expected and heading back into the minimum part of this cycle here in solar cycle 25. We enter 25 coming out of a minimum, going into a maximum, but then we'll decline towards a minimum at the end of solar cycle 25. So even if we are accelerating into the maximum, just by the laws of these cycles, if they expand early, they decline early. Obviously, the later they take to peak, the longer our next minimum will be. So I look at this as a possible indication that we will begin to see a lot more activity over the next several months. And the reason why, and I kind of warned this all summer long, by the way, I talked about this several times. Cosmic radiation rates right now are sitting at 8.8% with a 48-hour change of 0.5% increase. KP indices are at a 0, and the 24-hour max is at a 2. So we could be looking at seismic activity here in the next 24 hours to 72 hours. And I'll show you that here in a minute, as we are going to be dealing with an Earth-facing coronal hole that will bring solar wind here by the 21st of December. And that would be, I think, is Tuesday. So we will be expecting that maybe as early as Monday evening. So lots of interesting things coming up. And let's go over to our website, thegrandsolarminimum.com. And I'll share with you guys why I think I know what we are about to head into for this winter and how this could impact sunspot predictions. Oh, still no arrow. My goodness. Let's do something real quick, folks. Bear with me here. Everyone's being very kind to me here. I appreciate that. Never mind. I'm not going to do it, I guess. So, what I wanted to share with you guys is my theory on why we are going to see more sunspots in the coming days, or in the coming months, I should say. And it's pretty simple. Here we go, finally. All right. So, we don't want that one. There we go. So, what we have here is Earth is going to be coming around this side of the sun. It's now just beginning its trip around this side of the orbit. The reason why this is significant is because over here in the green, where everybody else is, and I do mean everybody else, over here in the green is an indication of a stronger magnetic connection to these planets here in the solar system. So the sun has to focus the majority of its energy, what's left of it, towards the grouping that we have here in this side of our solar system. Over here is what you call the weak side of the sun. And we all know that the weaker the corona is on the sun also allows sunspot activity to appear on the sun. Now, during the minimum, these sunspots have been building up underneath the corona. And once they are built up enough to where they can escape the corona, they do on the weaker side of the sun because of the weaker magnetic. So all this stored up sunspot activity that's going to eventually break through at some point has a better shot of revealing itself on the weak side of the sun. And it's been like this ever since I started talking about this. I've been watching the far side, and it always seems like we get these really huge sunspots on the weak side of the sun, and then when it becomes Earth-facing, when it was in the strong side of the solar system, those sunspots would decay. And that's why we kept seeing spotless days in the spring this year, and we're thinking, wow, is this cycle ever going to start? And now all of a sudden we're thinking, we had a couple days without sunspots, 4 to be exact, and now we're starting to see a huge amount of sunspots. So it is possible that Earth is still going to travel all the way around the sun. All right. And right now, Mars is heading out. So it's going to be, Earth could be just the Lone Ranger here. Of course, you have Mercury and Venus. Venus chugging along. Takes obviously a little quicker for them. But when you're talking about 2 planets, and the rest of the solar system is on this side, the sun's energy is going to be focused, especially with the gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus. No brainer. Poor little Pluto, all there out there by itself. Mars, though, as you can see, is heading into the green, which is the stronger side of the magnetic connection with the sun. So interesting stuff. Like I said, I would not be surprised if we start to see a lot more activity from our sun. I could be wrong, but at this point, we have seen a flurry of action earlier than expected. And with a jump like that, we all know that we know a Terminator event has happened when you see the acceleration of solar activity in a very brief time. I can tell you guys in the last 24 to 48 hours, the sun is lit. So it'll be interesting to see how things are the next couple of weeks. We'll have enough time to be able to confirm whether or not this indeed was the mark of the Terminator event. This is the mark of the beginning to the maximum, and that it is possible we will see an early maximum, which also means we will see the next minimum a lot sooner. And with where we are in this grand solar minimum, as things really start to dig in later in the 2020s, it's got to make you concerned about how long this next minimum is going to be, since we're in a grand solar minimum. And we know the 2030s and 2040s are going to be the worst of the grand solar minimum. Late 2040s, we will see things trying to get back to normal, as I believe the last cycle of the grand solar minimum will end sometime in the 2050s. Who knows? But that is the thinking right now, and that's based off of the work of Valentina Zarkova, which we thoroughly approve of here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel. We've interviewed her a few times. Mari actually is one of her web designers for her website, off-school site page that she has come up with for her. So it's easier for us to understand the work when Valentina has been so gracious to give us her time here and there and explain things to us. I'm telling you, it's nice that she is willing to go that far to get her message out and to show her work off. It's being accepted in scientific journals everywhere, and she is becoming a huge force for the global cooling crowd, grand solar minimum, sunspot theory crowd, and it is starting to take hold, folks. I believe that more and more people out there are seeing the opposite of global warming. When you saw the tornado outbreak last week, and everyone's like, global warming, climate crisis. No, you have to have an abundance of cold air present for a continuous time for a major outbreak like that to develop. Yes, I know there are some channels out there talking about Christmas is going to be lit, it's going to be warm and hot, but that is an anomaly. Weather, it happens. We get weird weather. We get freaky weather. I'm not saying we have all the answers here, but we will vet way more information about things than most people will, that's for sure. All right, let's look at some of the solar activity. As I said earlier, KP indices hanging around at 0 right now, 24-hour max. And take a look at solar wind, all of our fancy little graphs here at thegrandsolarminimum.com. I would like to look at this coronal hole, but first, let's check out if we have, oh, it's not up. That's too bad. Got to get that fixed. There's the coronal hole I was speaking of right there. So I don't think it's going to take till the 21st. This is a decent sized coronal hole. Its width, if it stays where it is right now, could bring solar wind as high as 650 kilometers per second. Could be a G1 storm associated with something like this. It'll be interesting to see, too, because of all the sunspot activity. Will we see another Earth-facing solar flare during a solar wind event, and how would that impact the effect on Earth as far as a solar storm or seismic activity, or even pumping cosmic radiation even more so into our clouds and our weather systems and creating more precipitation. Lots of space weather to watch, especially when it comes to these sunspots. Again, we went from 0 to 100. Like Bogus said, we went from 0 to 100 in no time. And it's been a while since we've seen sunspot activity like this. I really wish this would come up. I'm so sad that's not up. We'll reset it. All right, we're not going to wait for that. Oh, nope, it came back. There she is. All right, so we are seeing a continuous of sunspot activity in the southern region. See a little patience, folks. This is not yet to appear. So this area here and this area here is not accounted for on the current 127 sunspots. Yeah. So we possibly could see 20 more from this right here, which could put us somewhere between 144 and 147 on the sunspot number. Wow. Again, my guess is that it is an indication. It is an indication to me of the possibility Terminator event. Right? Maybe? I don't know. I'll have to keep my eyes on the Twitter feeds. Check out Scott McIntosh and all of them because, he admits when he's wrong. He's not one of those guys that, gets cocky about certain predictions. And I like that. When someone can humble themselves from the work they do, they're professional and they're mature enough to understand and know when they're wrong. And I think that shows a lot of courage and integrity and someone who really truly is just trying to give you truth. Because when we're wrong here at Grand Solar Minimum, we also try to recant statements or do the correction on what we quoted that was wrong. But looking at the sun, it's going to stay busy for quite some time, folks. It does look like we could see more sunspot numbers added to this total of 127 here within the next 24 to 36 hours. All right, let's check out a couple of things here. Not a lot to go over tonight. I really wanted to talk about the sun more than anything. Also wanted to report on this anomalous and historic December Directo that hit the United States. The storm brought hurricane-force winds, dust storms, tornadoes, wildfires, snow squalls, and heavy rain across the middle of the country. Of course, Brandon announced that this was all part of the climate crisis, but in fact, it all has to do with the cold front that swept across the middle of the country and is now affecting parts of the Northeast as we speak, as we were on a ridge fridge for a little bit. More than 400,000 homes and businesses lost electric power, and roughly 100 million people were under some type of weather warning. A state of emergency was declared in Kansas and Iowa, and at least 5 people have lost their lives. Now, this Directo was spawned by the interaction of a deep low-pressure system over the northern high plains and a high-pressure system in the west. This created a tight pressure gradient over the Rocky Mountains that generated fierce winds. High wind warnings were issued from central and southern high plains to the Great Lakes, including storm warnings over the Great Lakes. This event had generated at least 55 hurricane-force gusts. Those were exceeding 75 miles per hour, breaking the previous one-day record of 53 set on August 10th of 2020. The tracking began in 2004. All previous records were set during the summer months. So these are definitely unprecedented as we're seeing these records being set here in December. Wind gusts exceed 100 miles per hour in Colorado, and dust storms will swirl around in the southeastern part of the state and western Kansas. Now, my friend Matt Bros gave me a call, buddy. I did not mean to get back with you, but he asked me what I thought about the wind. I thought he meant the solar wind. Nope, he was talking about this wind. Unfortunately, this was a big deal. I hope all is well at your farm at this time. But it says here to have this number of damaging windstorms at one time would be unusual any time of the year. But to have this happen in December is really abnormal. And of course, you have, and that's National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Berenbrunch, whatever that is, his name, I guess. And he is saying that he's hinting it's going to come out. It's global warming, climate change. The climate crisis. Oh my gosh. Oh. I'm sure weathermen change their names. Like, they're really not disclosing their real name. Come on. I mean, you're a paid liar basically if you're a weatherman. So you can't put your real name out there, right? There's no way that's okay, maybe I'm wrong. Off topic, but anyway, so a major event across the Midwest. We've had the tornado outbreaks in the South. Very, very strange weather indeed. But, folks, it's all explained with the cold fronts, just like we talked about the tornadoes. Snow and ice and rain here in the Northeast. It's heading right towards Mari and I. And this is cool, though, because now we know we're at least going to have snow on the ground for Christmas. If you live in upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, northern parts of Mass and Maine, you will see snow on the ground. And temperatures are going to be cold enough to support the continuance of this snow staying on the ground. We'll get into that really quick on GFS, but the same front that triggered the fierce winds across the central part of the United States is now blowing through the Northeast with windy conditions Thursday night into early Friday. Colder and more seasonable air behind the front will set the state for a wintry conditions by this weekend. That front will stall from the Ohio Valley to the central part of the Atlantic coast Friday night with a storm that will ride northeastward along it on Saturday. The storm will produce wintry weather for some areas, but will not be the case everywhere, including much along the Interstate 95 corridor. Saturdays can turn out wet with cold rain in New York City, high temperatures in the 40s. So nothing major to be expected in New York City. In Philadelphia, New York City, Pittsburgh, and many towns, cities, and rural areas from southern Pennsylvania and central New Jersey to Ohio on the south, the storm will bring showers and a period or two of steadier rain for the first part of the weekend. Highs generally being in the 40s, the Appalachians, but temperatures are likely to push 60 in parts of eastern Virginia. But if you're going to live north of the region, well, that's going to be a different story. More cold air, more snow, and icier conditions are expected. Most of central New York, from Buffalo all the way across to Syracuse with a snow, rain, ice line. Boston, watch out for snow and ice, but mainly right now, this looks like a snow, rain, ice event for you. And then Albany and northward on 87 is expecting between 3 and 6 inches of snow. They are calling for more just recently from the 4 to 12 range. Now, there is a new alert now, it appears here on AccuWeather. And Mari and I were in the blue area to get 3 to 6. Now they're saying 4 to 8. But this light blue shade is indicating 6 to 12 inches. So we could be just getting the 6 or we could be getting the 10. Who knows? But if you live in this area right here, this is where you're going to have to get your snow blowers out. This will be the first significant snow for this part of the United States. We have not seen anything over 5 inches yet. And last year, to the day, and I have footage. I'll have Mari put some of that up because I found it the other day, and it's really interesting to see all this snow. It's unreal. 36 inches fell where we lived last year on this day last year. And today, here we are talking about another snowstorm. Now, thankfully, we're not talking about 36 inches. 12 inches is easier to shovel than 36 inches. So, looks like winter is coming back here into the Northeast. A lot of folks thinking it wasn't going to come. We have been seeing temperatures in the 50s and 40s, and that's pretty warm for this time of year. I mean, last year, the year before, I remember November, it gets pretty cold out here. You start seeing snow flurries flying around in November, maybe a dusting here, and then December, we get dumped on. And in January, February, March, it's like living in the North Pole. No kidding. I mean, we've got snow walls that are about 5 feet high on the side of the roads from where we have all the snow plowing going on. So let's take a look at GFS, right? There's that low pressure system right now that is setting up across the Ohio Valley. This is going to be rain for the first part of it. The back end is going to bring cold enough here, but it's not going to be a lot of snow for you guys, unfortunately. Here we go. Saturday, that system is approaching New York. Finally makes its arrival midday. We start seeing things really get into action. By evening hours, heavier snow is expected. Like I said, Albany northward, we will see the heaviest snow out of the system into Vermont, New Hampshire, and then Buffalo and Syracuse. You guys start to get snow. The rest of the night into Sunday will be snow for the rest of New York. And as this thing pushes out eastward, anybody that had rain on the I-95 corridor will eventually get the snow, but very, very little of it. And again, unfortunately, I know I got family in Ohio. They would love to see some snow right now before Christmas. Unfortunately, that cold, dry air is not going to allow any more precipitation. It's going to choke it right off as it moves out. Here we go into Monday, December 20th. Still cold in the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, the Northern Plains, and a big snow system here in the Northwest Montana, Washington, Oregon. Watch out. It looks like another atmospheric river again. And if you guys see here in the Gulf, we have a chance for some thunderstorms and showers. We will watch this. This could be a significant event to have at this time of year. Not impossible to possibly see. That's a lot of possibles. But with all the cold air that we've had in place and how these cold fronts have been flirting with the south, we're going to have to watch how severe these storms will get down here in the south. This is Tuesday, December 21st. As we move forward into Wednesday next week, right before Christmas. Again, if you live in the Northeast and got the snow, good chance that the temperatures are going to stay below freezing. This snow will be on the ground, it looks like, for Christmas. That storm in the Gulf is trying to race up the coast and then kind of connects with that snow clipper up there in Canada, but does not bring anything to the States. Steers clear, actually, and we live to see another day. Another atmospheric river approaching the west coast into California. Heavy snow in the northern part of California. Watch out, Ohio. Oh, look out. Snow flurries flying around on December 24th. So if you live in Lima, Greenville, Columbus, parts of Strongville, Cleveland, Ohio, eastern Ohio, you'll see the snow. And then eventually, boy, my brother, he lives in southwestern, buddy. I think it's going to be rain. You are right there on the snow-rain line. You can see it where my arrow is, folks. And unfortunately, I wish I had better news, Broham. But we move into Christmas morning. Does that change over to snow? No, unfortunately, it moves out and briefly touches the ground in Pennsylvania as we go into Christmas Day. The snow looks to be in the northwest and the northern plains on Christmas Day. So it's possible that we could see, and I would love this, but a good chance of snow for you folks out there in Green Bay. On Christmas Day, the Cleveland Browns and Green Bay Packers will be facing off. So that should be a majestic matchup if we got snow on Christmas Day, but conditions do look to be blustery. And guys, once again, the Northwest is getting blitzed with moisture. Tons of snow, rain on the very west coast, Oregon, Washington, the Sierras in California. Very heavy snow expected once again. This pattern is going to continue off and on throughout the month of December. So here's where we're just going to get an idea. There's system number 2 heading towards the northeast. That will bring significant snow. And then we have pretty much more cold air flowing all across the northern plain states, the Great Lakes, and the northeast. These are the areas, if you've been watching me for a while, all year long, I've been talking about this is the area that I believe is going to receive the most cold and snow, obviously. I know, right, Captain Obvious. We will still see those cold anomalies where we hit Texas with snow and ice and rain. But right now, the pattern's already setting up here in the north. So we could be in for a doozy of a winter when it comes to snow and ice accumulations. Just because we haven't seen that much yet, we are definitely setting up for future events to be able to just stick without any problems whatsoever. Pretty big low pressure system. Too early to tell where this one's going. If this sets up any further south, this could be a big snow event once again for the Northeast. That's going to be near New Year's Eve. But high pressure builds in for New Year's Eve and pretty much clears things up in the Ohio Valley all the way across the Northeast before our next low pressure system hits the Ohio Valley. And look at a strong cold front right behind this, guys. As it brings rain to the Ohio Valley and into New York, also rain. In front of it, it'll be snow, but as the low pushes through, it'll change over to rain. And high pressure, once again, will dominate on January 2nd, pushing that front off to the east and down to the south. But look at how much high pressure is settling in here across the United States. This also indicates a cold weather pattern as well. So we will definitely have to watch what's going to happen here. Now let's look at temperatures really quick because that's important, right? Right now, things are looking good across the South. If you live in the South, good stuff for you guys. 60s and 70s, a couple 40s here for a few days, Mondays. Starting to get cold in the northern plains, in the areas I just pointed out that I expect the most cold and snow at. But to the south of that, 40s and 50s. Here you see Texas at 69, so not bad, right? And then all of a sudden, we've got this really deep Arctic air moving its way through Canada and is trying to reach the lower 48. This is when I believe the temperatures in the south are going to escalate and then quickly recede. As we saw some 80s in there. Look at that, 85 in central Texas the day after Christmas. So very warm Christmas if you live below the Ohio River all the way across central Kansas. Expect warmer than usual weather for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after. But as I said, this Arctic cold blast is inching forward each day, and those warmer temperatures are slowly dissipating in the south before Thursday of December 30. Look at this. That's a huge, huge pressure move there. So all that warmth goes to the coast of the East Coast and the Gulf. Finally, this Arctic blast will start to penetrate the lower 48 by the first of the year. One more tease and freeze here across the Ohio Valley into the Northeast before the northern plain states just gets walloped with sub-frigid air. And again, like I said, much of the country is going to be in this cold front that's going to be just bringing more than just chilly air. This is where the heart of winter is probably going to start kicking up. Again, we can't really trust it. It's 13, 16 days out, but the GFS has always been pretty good about giving us an idea of what we can expect down the road. So how much snow do you think we'll have? Well, what are your chances of a white Christmas? Let's go find out. Let's move it all the way to Christmas Day. Let's go midday Christmas Day. Here we go. So if you live in these areas, you will see white Christmas in the Northeast, the Great Lakes, the Northern Plains, and the Northwest. Again, not trying to brag, but this was the area of the country this winter that I pretty much expected to be where it is now for snowfall this time of year. Well, that's going to do it for me tonight on this Grand Solar Minimum update. Folks, I want to say hello to a few people out there. Edward, good to see you. Knife Collector, Lady Tans, Jesse Varwald, long time no see, my friend. Glad to see you over here. Dusty Country Road, hello to my beautiful wife and happy birthday once again to you. Dakota, nice to see you in the chat. Thanks for the follow on the Twitter side of things as well. And many, many new faces like every show we do. We appreciate the support. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. Be safe out there. Take care. And we will be back with another live Grand Solar Minimum update this weekend. Stay tuned.